Welcome everyone once again to the Human Ecology Project podcast. Our speaker today needs no introduction, but Dr. Will Tuttle, one of my favourite people on the planet, a visionary, an educator, an international speaker, an inspirational speaker. The exciting news is his new book is now available worldwide, Food for Freedom, Reclaiming Our Health and Rescuing Our World. We have so many dilemmas right now. We collectively face between, so many things going on. And Food for Freedom is more than just about food. And I think this is going to be a highly instrumental book in wakening up so many people in the world to the global disaster that we really believe that we can still avoid. So a brilliantly written perspective, and I encourage everyone to read it, share it, pass it on. This is an amazing book for schools and for children. And next month, Bill and I are teaching again in Oxford at another school, and we will be recommending the book. And it's going to awaken many. So I am going to hand you over to the master himself, Dr. Will Tuttle.
Thank you so much, Marlene. I really appreciate your many efforts over so many years to help raise awareness about the benefits of healthy living, healthy eating, and sustainability and compassion for animals also. And like you say, this is our new release, Food for Freedom. It's really the first major book I've written since The World Peace Diet, which became a #1 Amazon bestseller worldwide in 2010. And the theme of this book really is freedom. And to look at it more deeply, the underlying good news is that all of us as human beings have been given this wonderful gift of a physical body that does not require animals to be enslaved and imprisoned and abused to get all the nutrients that we need to thrive and celebrate our lives on this beautiful and abundant earth. The problem is that when we imprison them and we eat their flesh and dairy products and eggs, we are not only causing terrible suffering to them and really increasing the amount of environmental destruction and toxicity in the world, but then we turn around and we actually eat all that toxicity. There's so many different types of toxins that concentrate in animal-based foods. There's not only all of the pesticide, herbicide, and fungicide residues and artificial chemical fertilizer residues, but all the hormones that the poor animals are releasing, fear and terror and pain and so forth, as well as all the antibiotics and other growth promotants. And there's over 10,000 actually different drugs and hormones that have been approved to be used on animals like cows and pigs and chickens and factory farm fishes that people are eating. So there's really a lot of confusion in the world right now about what we should be eating and how we should be living. And so this book, Food for Freedom, really, I like the title. It came to me later that it's a book that has ideas in it, but the book itself is Food for Freedom. It's something that we can actually digest and liberate ourselves and liberate animals. The underlying idea is that when we liberate animals, we not only liberate animals, we liberate ourselves. When we enslave animals, we not only enslave animals, we're really enslaving ourselves. We don't realize it because we've been born into a culture where this has been going on for about 10,000 years. And so in the World Peace Diet, I go into that in depth. I do somewhat in this book too, just so people understand what I call the herding culture, this culture that's organized at its core around imprisoning cows and pigs and chickens and other animals for food, and how our routine and relentless violence towards these animals not only causes terrible suffering for them, but it all boomerangs back to us as the injustice and inequality and disease and suffering and misunderstanding that we are experiencing in our world, and we have been for the last 10,000 years. The oldest word for war, for example, is the old Sanskrit word gavya, which means the desire for more cows. When I used to teach college courses in philosophy, I remember I used to teach Plato's Republic, and Socrates says very clearly, he says, 2,500 years ago, he said, if we want to eat meat, we'll have to go to war. Now, they understood that way back then, that it's going to require us to own animals. We need land, we need water, we need to fight against other people who are trying to do the same thing. We can live on a fraction of the land, on a fraction of the water and petroleum. It's so much more efficient and healthy. My wife Madeline and I are living in Northern California, and even though we lived in a rolling home on wheels for 17 years, just traveling around North America and promoting this message of compassion for animals, we moved here about 10 years ago. And so we started planting vegetables and fruits and berries. And now we have about 75 trees with fruits. And it's just wonderful. And it's just a small piece of land, a quarter of an acre. We have a lot of food, right, that we can grow ourselves, we can eat, we can share it with people, we can even sell some of it at the local farmers market sometimes. So the underlying idea is that the earth is abundant. We can easily feed everyone. We can easily feed all 10 billion of us, or 8 billion of us now, on a fraction of the land, if we would give up this bad habit, really, that we've just inherited. It's not a free choice. The only reason I was eating animal foods all those years that I did as a little kid, I grew up because my parents did, and my friends and neighbors and teachers and the minister at the church, and everybody did it, so I did it. It's, we just do it because that's what everybody does. And so what I love what you and Bill are doing is essentially lighting the path, showing the light, the truth, that all the nutrients that we need to celebrate our lives come from plants. All the amino acids that make the proteins, the essential fatty acids, the fiber, the carbohydrates, the minerals and vitamins. Animals do not contribute anything, right? I mean, they contribute saturated fat, cholesterol, and a huge load of toxins. Even the proteins are very large and unwieldy and hard for us to deal with, create a lot of acid, just cause liver disease, kidney disease, many forms of cancer. So the problem is really in many ways, and I understand this because my father was in the media. The problem is the media has been really captured by the industries, that not only the meat, dairy, and egg industries, but really, as I point out in this book, The World Peace, the Food for Freedom, also in the World Peace Diet, but especially in Food for Freedom, the pharmaceutical industry is enormously powerful, and the medical industry, and these industries thrive on sick people, right? The underlying teaching is a patient cured is a patient lost. So we have to understand that if we want to be healthy, it's up to us. It's not really depending on the pharmaceutical medical complex for us to be healthy. That's not in their interest, right? Their interest is to give us more treatments, more pharmaceutical drugs. And pharmaceutical drugs are really refined petrochemicals, and petrochemicals are refined petroleum. So it's a total petroleum-based system. It takes huge amounts of petroleum to run all the machines, and then all the chemicals and pesticide, that's all petroleum-based. So you refine petroleum to petrochemicals, you refine petrochemicals down to pharmaceuticals, because when you spray all those toxic petrochemicals out into the world, people get sick, they get cancer, and they get all these different diseases, these like atrazine, which disrupts our hormones. And we have little girls thinking they're little boys and boys, girls, and all these problems that we have caused by these pharmaceuticals, which then, of course, the pharmaceutical industry makes more profits. So the chemical industry and the pharmaceutical industry are really related, and they both are based on poisoning humanity. So again, the whole idea is the good news that we do not have to poison the earth or poison ourselves to be healthy. We can really heal the microbiome of the soil by eating organic, whole, plant-sourced foods, right? Organic, whole, plant-sourced foods. That's a fantastic foundation for health on every level: physical, environmental, cultural, psychological, and spiritual, the 5 dimensions of health. It's really important. I go into that quite a bit in the new book, how we think of health and we think of, oh yeah, I want to be healthy, I want to have energy and so forth. And that's great. We need to really make an effort and be proactive in being healthy, because if we're not, probably we're not going to be very healthy, because if we just go along with what the mainstream media says and what the medical pharmaceutical cartel tells us, we're probably not going to be very healthy. So it's really important to be proactive, get information that goes against the mainstream narratives that focus on poisons, and really focus on healthy foods that are organic, whole, and plant sourced, exercise, healthy relationships, creativity, a life of purpose and meaning. You know, we're more than just physical bodies. We are actually infinite and eternal consciousness that's manifesting for a few short years through this, you know, I'm waving, this physical body's waving, but that's not what we are. That's just, in many ways, that's, I call it the footprint. You know, if we're taking a walk on a beach and we see a footprint on the sand, we don't walk up to the footprint and go, "Hello, Charlie, how are you doing today?" You know, we know that's just a footprint. So this is a footprint waving, right? We don't, the being we are it shines through us, but it's not, we're not just that. So it's important, it's really, we have to be responsible and take good care of this physical vehicle, because we're here to do something, right? We're here to help raise awareness. Each one of us has a purpose, a mission, something to contribute. And each one of us, when we do that, we make it easier for others to do that as well. So again, I'm so grateful to you, Marlene and Bill, for the creative ways that you educate and shine your light and help people to question these official narratives that really are designed to enslave animals. And I'm telling you, you do not want to be born as a cow or a pig or a chicken or these other animals, a lamb. It's really a terrible suffering. And not only that, but just being born in order to be slaughtered. I mean, that, and the whole thing is based on impregnating female animals against their will and stealing and killing their babies. I mean, this is a very satanic agenda, actually. We don't realize it. We think, well, it's what we always did. We have to realize that it's very counterproductive in terms of our health and happiness, and we would never choose that ourselves. It's just that we're born into it. So to question these official narratives that do one main thing, which is destroy the sovereignty of individual beings, right? The most important thing for any being is sovereignty. I noticed that, like, we have a garden, like I mentioned. When we first came here 10 years ago, we just put up a quick kind of a nylon fence because we planted some trees and we didn't want the deer to come charging in and eat everything. And it worked great. The deer never ate anything. They stayed out. It was good. But then one day, a deer got in through the gate and realized that she was trapped inside this nylon fence. And so she just destroyed the fence. She just smashed through it, broke it down. So I realized from that, it's the worst thing we can do to healthy, free-living beings is to confine their body into a cage. That destroys their purpose. It destroys everything. So what we do to these cows and pigs and chickens, we have their babies born into a cage. They're born into slavery. That's demonic. That goes against everything. And the only reason we do it, quite honestly, is because we ourselves are in many ways born into a cage. Yep. We're born into this cage of animal agriculture. When we enslave animals, we enslave ourselves, and we create a whole society based on dominating and exploiting not only animals and ecosystems, but each other. And little children are, and it gets worse. I mean, I think since I was a kid, and what's happened in the last, I'm now 70, so in the last 60 years, I've seen children, from my point of view, their freedom has been curtailed quite a bit. I mean, kids now they're looking at their phones and they're in the computer world. And I mean, it's really taking away their freedom.
Yeah, well, you're 70 years. So in the last 70 years, cancer has increased by 500%.
Right, exactly. That's
In your
slavery.
lifetime, 500% in your lifetime, right? And today I was writing an article and I was just searching on Google, and it's horrifying to see in the last short time there's been a 4,000% increase in searches for the carnivore diet. That makes me work harder. That makes Bill work. That makes, like, we're not sitting back going, well, that's a lot. No, we've got to keep spreading more and more and getting more people on board, right? So it actually fires you up even more and thinking, "Damn it," you know? So your book is so prime right now, which is fantastic. I mean, it's a fantastic book, and I will encourage all the schools that we will be teaching in to get it in for the kids, because the youth is where we have to start, where we have to get to, right? You know?
Exactly. Right. Because when people lose their health,
Yeah.
like you're saying, a 500% increase in cancer, and the same thing, a huge increase in heart disease, a huge increase. According to the Cochrane report, the number one killer in the world actually now is pharmaceutical drugs. Huge increase in deaths and serious injury from pharmaceutical drugs. So that's the thing to understand, is that when we lose our health, in many ways, we lose our freedom. I mean, freedom really requires us to have energy, to have vitality, clarity, and a joyful heart. All of that is in alignment with liberating animals. All the nutrients we need are in plants. This whole idea that's been getting traction. See, that you have to understand that the globalist forces that want to enslave humanity, they're working on it. And as I talk about in the world, in the Food for Freedom, 1/10,000th of 1% of the human population. That's 8,000 people. 1/10,000th of 1% of the human population basically controls the narratives in our society. They control the banks, the corporations, the universities, the governments, the governmental agencies, the entertainment industry, the media. All of that is controlled by 1/10,000th of 1% of the people. So that tiny minority of people, their interests converge. And so they get together in these gatherings like the Bilderbergs and the World Economic Forum and the Council of Foreign Relations and all these things. And they do not want people going vegan. That's the last thing they want, actually. They want the vegan movement of liberation, of health and kindness and compassion is the movement for freedom and joy and abundance for all of us, and equality. And so that's really the foundation. So we have to be savvy and not be gullible and just believe that, this it's just by some accident there's suddenly this huge push for the carnivore diet. I think we have to realize that if we enslave animals, we're enslaving ourselves. The funny thing is, a lot of the people who are really moving in that direction and eating more animal-based foods think that they care about freedom. They really want to be free and they want to have sovereignty. And it's the ultimate irony. The last thing that they want is to have someone come in and imprison them and steal their purposes and steal their children. And yet they're perfectly willing to do that to these other living beings, cows and pigs and chickens, which these are beings who have interests that are as important to them as my interests are to me. And so we have to realize the importance of congruence, that when we are congruent in our actions and in our beliefs, then we are empowered. The ends never justifies the means. The means and the ends are the same. If we want peace, we're not going to get it through violence. If we want health, we're not going to get it through disease. I've been saying this for 35 years or 40 years. The vivisection, making all these poor animals sick, cutting them open, causing them misery. Is that making us healthier? No. We have more diseases than we ever had. We have more illness than we ever had. The more we make animals sick, the more we get sick. The more we imprison animals, the more we get imprisoned. I've been warning for 40 years. I've been saying, if we're going to insist on exploiting and microchipping and force medicating millions of animals every day, we're going to see it happen to us. And we see it happening to us. We see our people getting actually talking about force medicating and microchipping and tagging human beings, just like we do cows and pigs and chickens. So
And
freedom
you
means
know, from
this. Yeah.
decades and decades of incredible work around the world, 50 countries you've taught, I mean, amazing, right? Lectured everywhere. When we learn to enjoy the energy and satisfaction and deliciousness from eating whole grains and beans and vegetables and fruits and nuts and seeds, it's just the beginning of, I think you said that, the golden age, if I'm correctly, it might have been you that coined that phrase. And we have to move everybody away from the thinking that they need to eat animal flesh, right? So that's our purpose every day as well when we get up, because as you said, it's all collective, right? Poison the soil outside, poison the soil inside. Create torture for one being, we're creating torture for ourselves, you know. Your book, this book, I mean, I know I love the World Peace Diet and it's phenomenal as well, but I think this book's a step up from that as well. I really do. Food for Freedom.
Well, thank you. I realized when COVID happened, actually, and so many people who were pretty conscious, I thought, just just couldn't see what was actually happening. I was so glad that you and Bill could see what to me was quite obvious. And there's something I refer to in Food for Freedom, which is the importance of really cultivating discriminating awareness, discernment. Because if we're easily fooled and manipulated, then that causes more suffering and more violence in the world. So the more we are honest with ourselves, really honest with ourselves, the more difficult it will be for us to be fooled. So it's really, I think, up to us not to allow ourselves to be fooled by a very powerful kind of psychological operation that has been, it's being kind of just projected into the whole world. Pretty much every country is being taught to be afraid of germs and viruses, that they're going to attack us. I'm being mindful of the time here. I know we can't go on too long, but I'll just mention here quickly in Food for Freedom, it's really important to explore how the underlying mentality of animal agriculture, which is a mentality of dominating and exploiting nature, creates within us a fear of animals and nature. We're afraid, it's because we're harming them. And so we're afraid that they're going to come back, they're going to get us. And if not them, then bacteria and viruses, there's this whole fear. And the beautiful thing about eating an organic, whole plant-based way of eating and living is that it takes that fear away. We feel more and more that we're in a benevolent world. We're blessing everybody. Our garden, we love the insects and the birds, and it's like it creates a whole habitat, and we work with the natural abundance of you plant one seed and you get 10,000 seeds. The whole macrobiotic movement and Michio Kushi and the people that really the deep founders of this, it was basically a spiritual understanding of the celebratory nature of life, that we don't have to live in this world of lack and fear and harm others to get enough for ourselves, that there's plenty to go along. We can have a sense of abundance and gratitude and appreciation and thanksgiving, and plant our seeds and nurture the plants with love. And the more we love them, the more they love us back.
Yeah, well, you're so right, because the fear that we see too, not even, I mean, today I've been working with clients with cancer, but it's not even so much that, it's just the fear is everywhere. You feel the energy from people, right?
Yeah.
It's because they're not nourishing their organs, and what we teach in microbiotics about the kidneys being your life force, your jing, strong kidney chi gives you fear,
Right.
you know? And I look at people and I think, why are they not paying attention? Because there's so much information, right? I mean, you can look and get it for free from your website, from our website. We make free ebooks and free videos, but it's the step. They don't want to be seen to be being different from anybody else. And one of the things that Bill and I say every day, a bit like you and Madeline, we have such joy from the way we live. We're so blessed to do what we do. It's like an honor also. Sometimes I feel like I go in the back door. How did I become this person that teaches
Right.
people? because like you, I was brought up eating meat and dairy and what have you, but the earth for me, for nature, for Bill and I mean, we're destroying everything. There's going to be an ecological collapse if people don't waken up. And so we go from animals to humans to the planet to everything. It's all connected and it's the food that's the center core. So, we'll never give up. I know you won't ever give up, right? Because it
Thank
was,
you.
and because it becomes clear more and more every day that the driving force of destruction to the planet is what we're doing to our beautiful animal kingdom. And some days I feel like I want to weep, and then I think, no, Marlene, you're not the victim. Don't weep. Get out and speak about it, right? Because it's really,
Right.
you find, no disrespect, but I find a lot of kind of animal people become very, traumatized. And of course, but that's not going to help the animals. You have to be strong. You have to speak up for them.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's the key. And I think the more we do that, the more we speak up, find our unique way of doing that. We don't have to be world famous, but just
Exactly.
sharing with people, with friends and neighbors, being a light in the world. Then when we wake up in the morning, we have a good feeling, like I have another day to contribute to the solutions, right? These problems have been going on for thousands of years, and it's coming to a head right now. And good for us. We are born now. Now we can really be part of the healing and the awakening that are so important right now. And I think that's a great thing to do for the short time we're on this earth. We're not here forever. We got a few decades. So use it well. That's the key. I think just use
I
it as
bow
best we
down
can.
to you. I bow down to you in admiration, Will, for the decades and decades of work that you've done. And Food for Freedom is a phenomenal book, and we will encourage everybody to purchase it and share it far and wide around the world. Well, I could
Yeah.
talk to you forever, but we're out of
Right.
time. And the next time we're back on, Bill will be joining us, and we're going to
Good.
have another discussion with questions and answers and different things as well. So, I look forward to that happening in the next few months. And in the meantime, sending love to you and Madeline, and thank you for everything that you do every day.
Thank you so much, Marlene. It's give our love to Bill, and thank you everyone for watching and participating.